Everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend with me. I'm Nichelle with 2XL with Nichelle.com. I bring you information, inspiration, and motivation to help you start, market, and grow into the CEO of you. I'm the startup CEO helping you to start a profitable business from your kitchen table while you're still working your 9 to 5. Thanks for all the replay viewers for coming in. I'm a little sick today, so I've been fighting this cold. I think last week I had a little cold, but then my husband came home with a cold. He had been sniffling and things. Then next thing I know, I had a cold and I've been dealing with it. My voice going in and out. I got a little cold, so if you hear me sniffle and all that, that's what's going on. So I pray you had a magnificent day. It is November 30th, 2017, the last day of this month. Tomorrow is a new start, new beginning, and I hope and pray that the next 31 days will be magnificent for you and that you are preparing and planning for a lot to happen in 2018. I don't know about you, but I definitely am. Hey, Pastor Monique, welcome. What's going on with you? So today I am stopping in to share with you information about commercial real estate. Thanks so much for sharing, Pastor Monique. Commercial real estate. As you know, I am a licensed real estate broker. I've been in real estate personally and professionally for about 25 years. And a lot of times when clients come to me, most of the time they're my business clients that I'm helping to start a business, grow a business, whatnot. And a lot of times they start off in the home, and then I end up helping them to go out to find a brick and mortar. So when you come to my consulting company, Diversified Connections Consulting LLC, we have tons of different programs that we utilize to help expand your business reach. We start by helping you, first of all, if you don't have a business, helping you to get that business started. And then from there, majority of my clients, they end up wanting to go into brick and mortar because they've grown so much. And I always recommend to people, before you decide to jump out into brick and mortar, if you can stay in your home, the longer you can stay in your home or wherever you are, that's a great thing to do. Thanks so much for those hearts, Pastor Monique. For the simple reason, it's very expensive for brick and mortar. I have one location right now that I'm working. I've had multiple throughout my 25 years as a business owner. In fact, I own retail stores. So one of my retail stores that we had, the rent consistently went up and up and up and up. And I'm going to break down some things to you, because when you are in brick and mortar, you have to pay attention to some things. And I have had clients that I work with, when they go look for these properties, they have all this big idea in their mind. Just like when they're buying residential property, they have these big ideas, but they don't really look at or attribute the cost. And so in my consulting company, we break down an analysis for the client. In my real estate and my consulting company, they're two separate entities, but we work in conjunction with one another. But the clients, they have no freaking idea of the expenses that are in store for them when they're thinking about commercial property. And so in the beginning stages of helping them, I try to break down every cost analysis for them. Welcome, Social Stony. How you doing? Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And thanks so much for sharing on Twitter. But we break down the different aspects of the cost analysis, what it's going to cost them to be in business and stay in business. And people don't look at the whole picture. And so today I'm going to give you 5 facts that you need to pay attention to if you are an entrepreneur, if you are thinking about going into a brick and mortar, and some things that you need to pay attention to so you don't end up broke and out of business and end up in a lawsuit. Because a lot of times residential, I haven't had too many issues with lawsuits with residential, but I've had plenty of them with commercial. Welcome. Thank you so much. How are you? Thanks for being here. Plenty with commercial where people end up getting sued because of one thing or another. So you really have to be careful when you are, going into this process. And I always advise people, please get someone that's experienced in commercial real estate. I personally have been doing commercial real estate for about 10 years. I didn't go into it when I began my real estate venture as an investor, and then went into it as a business owner. But, it really is a lot to learn. You have to understand so much. And if you don't understand the nicks and crannies of it, not only can your customer get in trouble, but you can get in trouble too as a licensed realtor. or for commercial real estate. So the first thing that I want to make you aware of when you are out there looking for commercial property is that you need to be mindful that there is no standard lease, unlike residential. So when my clients come to me and they are seeking commercial property, I make them aware up front that there's no standard lease. You're really at the liberty of the landlord, the leaseor of the property that has the commercial space, and they can literally put just about anything that they want in there with no boundaries attached to them. And so keep in mind that you need to have, I've spoken of this on several scopes, the five most important people you must have on your team. And one of those, I'm gonna give you two. One is the realtor, and the next one is an attorney, because you need somebody that's going to read that information, that understands that and can dissect it. In my state, realtors handle all of this stuff. In some states, attorney handle realtor contracts and negotiations, but in my state, we do that. I'm not a licensed attorney. I've been in the business for quite some time, so I never step over on the feet of attorneys, because I don't want to get in the business of practicing law unless I'm getting paid. But I refer them to my attorney that I work with, and they pretty much help them with that. So make sure you have a licensed attorney as well as a licensed realtor on your team if you are seeking commercial property. And again, make sure you have somebody that knows what they're doing, because you can get in a lot of financial trouble if you don't pay attention to the guidelines and the rules. So since they have no standard lease, as I mentioned, they can literally put the terms and agreements in there that they want, and it's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to stick with it and do it. Most leases are long term. And so very seldom do I come in contact with a leaseor, a commercial property leaseor that wants 1 year. Most of the time, they're either going to be 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. I've even seen them 10 years. Hey, Lady Divine, what's going on with you? I've even seen them 10 years. And I never advise my client to get in a 10-year contract with a commercial property, for the simple reason, you know, I speak everything into existence. I work hard for everything. Hello, how are you? I work hard for everything, but I can't guarantee you 10 years where I'm going to be. It's as simple as that. And I'm really hesitant with 7 and 5, to be honest with you, because of what goes on. Hey, how you doing? Welcome. Can't see your name there, like Keisha Land Blind or something like that. Hey, Apostle, what's going on? So I don't even like to tell my clients when they're working with me, and I leave it up to the client because that's their decision and they're paying the money. But I always make them aware, 10 years, you really don't know where your business is going to be. You may outgrow this space. So you don't want to be tied in. Thank you so much for sharing 3 Ties That Bind. You don't want to be stuck in that lease for that long and can't get out of it. And even at 7 and 5 years, that's a long time too. So the most I'm personally willing to sign is 3 years. And I speak that to my customers and I explain that to them. Now I do have some that go in and they do 5, and then I even have some that do 7. And I just keep them aware of the legalities that you may be faced with if your business does not succeed. The truth of the matter is, the first 5 years, most businesses fail. 5 to 7 years, most businesses fail. So if you are a new entrepreneur thinking about going into a brick and mortar, do not get caught up in no 5 to 17-year lease. 3 is the max. And even if you can get it down to 2, I would say that as well. Many don't do month to month. Many don't do 1 year. They want long term because it is a investment for them owning a property that they have to pay into it. So thanks for the love too. I really appreciate you all throwing up those hearts, those yellow, pink, purple, whatever. It's all come up. Thank you so much. So keep that number 1 point in mind about the standard lease. It's not like your residential lease or your home buying lease. It's going to, your home buying contract is going to be totally different. Number 2, the good thing about commercial property is that you have some flexibility, which means unlike you do in residential. In residential, it's pretty standard. It is what it is, and that's it. And not much negotiation in regards to the contract itself. You can negotiate terms with the owner, with the closing date and stuff like that. But with commercial property, you have a little bit negotiation, because what sometimes, like I have a guy right now I'm working with for a restaurant. He wants to, he's starting a restaurant. He's been in the restaurant business before, and now he's coming into it in my area. And so we're looking for a place that he can expand out and build out upon. And so the thing that we're looking at is some space where he can do that. And the flexibility of the lease is going to be so important, because he's going to go in and tear some walls down. And that's what you have when you're talking about a commercial lease. You want to make certain that there is flexibility that you're able to do what you need to do to have a profitable and a productive business. You're not just moving in a space that's not going to give you flexibility to do what you need. Most lease of commercial property, they are flexible as long as you set the terms up front and that you and the leaseor understand what your expectations are. Some of them charge you. Now, this is specific to your area. Some of them charge you. I've had commercial property owners, being that they were leasing it from them, charge the people that were coming in to break down walls, move walls, add holes in walls, move plumbing around. Those are not cheap expenses, especially plumbing. To move and relocate plumbing, those are expensive things. And so when you are reconstructing property, some commercial property owners, they're wanting to charge for that because they want to make sure that when you leave that they can still lease that space to somebody else. And so that's why it's so important to make sure that the terms that you agree on prior to signing, that both of you all are aware of what the expectations of each other are. And if you're not, you get into that lease and you start reconstructing that property, you can end up in court, all right, and being sued. So be mindful of that. But most often things are up for negotiation. Most commercial property is vacant. So they want to lease it out to you, but make sure this stuff is in writing and verbally, that you understand each other, and written. Don't sign nothing. Don't speak it and say, okay, I'm going to rent this space and I'm going to do that. Get it in writing. In fact, no contract, even in business. When I'm working with people, I have contracts for everything because I want to make sure that I'm delivering what your expectations are. And most business people do. If you're working without a contract, you shooting yourself in the foot, okay? Excuse me. Yeah, so you want to make certain that contractually, because contracts are legally binding. And, you know, my attorney, she makes sure, I have a male and a female attorney for different businesses that I have, but they make sure that when I'm submitting things that I'm following in line with the guideline of my state. And sometimes, being that I work with some clients that are not in my state, that I'm falling in line with their state as well. Because sometimes I have clients that are coming from different areas that are seeking, like this guy I'm telling you about with the restaurant. He's coming from another area and I'm helping him, but he doesn't live here. So I have to make sure that I'm in line with his county as well, where he's from, as well as where I am as well. So keep those things in mind. Everything is negotiable, and I make my clients aware of that. Everything is negotiable, from the price all the way down. And the reason why is because, as I mentioned, most commercial property is vacant and they don't make no money if ain't nobody in there, just like residential. When I'm selling a house, you know, I'm speaking with the seller, negotiating with the buyer, seller's agent, and I'm letting them know, look, my buyer wants to buy this property, but we're not buying for what you asked for. We want to negotiate. But don't go in and sucker people. You know, nobody likes to be suckered, especially when people know their worth. People want to be paid what they know the value of that property is. So when people go in and they try to shice and say, well, I'm only going to pay $300 when it's worth $1,000, more than likely they're going to deny it, even if they need to rent the space. Sometimes I've had people to deny it because they don't want to just be shiced out. They know they can get somebody to come in and pay $1,000 when you're trying to undercut them with $300. So we come to a happy medium, a fair medium, and typically end up around $700 for leasing the space. And majority of the time they're okay with that if they can get a long-term lease, like 3 years, or, you know, I mentioned the 5 years. If they can get a longer term lease, they're more willing to negotiate with you when you're seeking that space. Number 3, the third thing that I want to make you aware of is that there are a few consumer protection laws for commercial property. So it is what it is. And that's why lawsuits are extremely high. I mean, you literally can put your business in bankruptcy if you don't follow the terms of this contract, because it's not like a residential contract where you can get out of it. A lease, once you sign it commercially, excuse me, I apologize, you guys. As I mentioned, I'm not feeling too well. But commercially, you are pretty much bound to that. A contract is a legally binding agreement. And that's why it's so important that you make sure that you have those two representations, as I mentioned. The licensed realtor that knows what they're doing, that's been in commercial property. And then someone who is an attorney. Make sure you have an attorney that's familiar with real estate law. Commercial property, to be exact. Because there are a few consumer protections on there. There is the security deposit. The guy that I'm working with, the restaurant, he has to put $15,000 down as a security deposit to say that he's going to rent this property. And I've seen them up to $30,000. Just depends on the square footage of it, the space that you're trying to rent. If it's in a very busy area, a location where they're going to see consistent traffic come in, I've seen it up to like $30,000 in my area that I work in. And then that money you don't get it back, especially if you do not follow the terms of that contract. So that's why I speak to my clients and make them aware that you literally have to know what you're doing. Don't just go out there and be looking by yourself. I've seen so many people call me back, Nichelle, I need help finding a space because I need to get out of the space I'm in after the fact. You know, work with people that are professional in the field so you don't get caught up in between. I can't help you because I don't know Russian, okay? No Russian. I was trying to learn some Russian, but the guy wasn't patient with me because I couldn't get those dialects. So, yeah. English only. Inglés, no, muy poco español, but no Russian. No Russian. So, as I was saying, you want to make certain that you have someone that's very experienced in that, because your protection is going to be key, and the longevity of your business, not being sued, you don't want to get caught up in that. So fewer consumer protection laws for commercial property versus residential. Totally two different aspects of the business. If you're just coming in, I'm Nichelle with 2Excel with Nichelle.com. I bring you information, inspiration, and motivation to help you push yourself out of your comfort zone into the gifts that God has blessed you with. I'm the startup CEO, helping you to start a profitable business from your kitchen table while you still have your 9 to 5. Yes, I'm not one to tell you to quit your job for the simple reason because I believe in streams. Ecclesiastes 11:2 said that we should have streams, and I do believe a job is a stream and that you need to keep a job, especially if you need one, until you're trifolding on that job in your business. I mean, trifolding on your income in your business before you leave that job. Because your job is an investor. Yes, yes it is. And so keep that information in mind. You can learn more about me and what I do by clicking the link in my bio, 2excelwithnichelle.com. I'm also available on Instagram and on Twitter at Nichelle Womack, and on Facebook at 2Excel with Nichelle. So number 3, as I mentioned, the fewer consumer protection laws. Number 4, I really want you to keep in mind, I spoke about the length of the contract and the period, and about the more money at stake, about the diversity of the different ranges. Now that is negotiable. It is negotiable, but most commercial property leaseholders are very stern on that because, again, they have a bottom line. And typically they charge per square foot linear of the property. And so it's very, very, can be very costly in the end, what you pay for it. So make sure you get a space that you can find yourself growing in within the next 2 to 5 years, depending on how long you signed the lease for. And a lot of times, if you have more than 15 employees, the ADA, American Disabilities Act, will require you to have facilities that are set up for the disabled. That is another cost. I have a guy that was getting ready in the process of opening up a barber salon, and he has maybe I think about 15 or so, maybe 20 people that work within there, but he had to go in and tear stuff out. So before he even got in the property to make money, he was spending money because he had to conform it to the ADA. And a lot of times the leaseor is not willing to do that. Sometimes, depending on how long, again, the term of the lease, they may be negotiable to do it, but this one wasn't willing to do it at all. So he ended up spending probably about $20,000 even before he got in there to make some money, because he had to make it accessible for bathrooms, ADA certified for bathrooms for clients with disabilities to come in to get their hair done by going to the bathroom, and making the doors wider too. And that's so key when they come in, because they do inspections. Municipalities do inspections. Typically, you have to pay for the municipality inspection to come in, the license, the permit, and all of that to be drawn before you can begin to do anything. And that's why I mentioned, if you are a small business owner and you have not reached a financial capacity where it's reasonable, sounding reasonable for you to leave where you are, if you're working from home, try to work from there as long as you can before you go into a brick and mortar. I also had, last month, I had a lady that's opening up a clothing store. She'd been working out of her home and had rented some small space for quite some time. She went in. She didn't call me. She called me when she was leasing, but she was getting ready to buy a piece of property. Then she called me like 5 weeks later Hello, how are you? 5 weeks later, telling me all the plumbing and all that stuff wasn't working in there, and the bathrooms and the toilets wasn't working. I said, did you not remember when I mentioned to you, before you go into some space, call your realtor and your attorney? Now you really at a battle by yourself. You got to get the attorney involved, because I can't do nothing because my name wasn't on the contract. If my name is on there, Nichelle Womack, then I have an obligation, a fiduciary responsibility to help and assist you in there. But if my name ain't on there, I ain't got no fiduciary responsibility outside the kindness of my heart. And due to the fact that she was a client previously, I did give her some advice to help her along the way. And so you want to keep those things in mind, because it can be very costly. Number 5 that I want to share with you in regards to commercial property is, this is probably the top one that I want to share with you that costs my clients a lot of money. That cost them a lot of money. There are 3 types of commercial leases that you can get involved in, but this one here seems to be the most expensive, and is the triple net. The triple net lease. And the reason why it's so expensive is because everything, the leaseor puts, the commercial property owner puts everything in there. I mean everything. The real estate taxes, the maintenance, the insurance, building maintenance, and all of that inside of your payment. And you go in with one mindset thinking you're going to be paying like $500-$700, and all that stuff gets added up, it could be over $1,000. Not to mention you're going to have utilities added. And so again, think about your budget, and if your budget will allow you to do a triple net lease. Most often triple net leases are in very high traffic areas. From what my experience has been, they're in extremely high traffic areas, and so they can request the high rent, just like buying a house. You know, if the house is in a well-populated area, a nice area, a well-built-up area, is going to be more than you will find in one that's not. And landlords, commercial property owners, they know that. So they put the triple net in there. Again, make sure your budget is okay, because you still have to pay utilities. You still have to pay your insurance. Do not move into a commercial property if you do not have any insurance as a business owner. It's so key. So those are another expenses that you have to add in there on top of being a business owner. You have to add into the fees that are required for you to be in business as well. Let me share with you the other 2 types of commercial leases. You have the gross lease or the full service. Again, that's kind of like the triple net. Everything is included in that. It's all inclusive. A lot of times you will find utilities that are included in there as well. The gas, the electric, or whatever else is needed in there. A lot of times those are included in there. And then you have the net lease. And the net lease is pretty much, a lot of people like that for the simple reason you get to pay the least amount of rent as possible with the net lease. So when I'm working with my clients, and we've already done our budget analysis and know where we are as a business, I'm able to see which one best fits their portfolio for them moving forward. A lot of them like the net leases because it is the least amount of rent. But then a lot of times what I find, the commercial landlord will raise the rent at the end of the term of the lease. He'll raise that price up. So it really just depends on where you are that these things happen. But this is customary for the most part for commercial real estate. Again, you need to make sure you have very experienced people on your team that can assist you in the process so that you do not get caught up in lawsuits, because lawsuits with commercial property are not friendly and they're very costly, where you end up having to pay the realtor, you end up having to pay the commercial landlord, and you also end up having to pay the attorney for helping you to fight this battle. And that's why it's important to get someone very expensive. Anybody have any questions that I can answer while I'm on here? Anybody have any questions that I can answer for you? If not, I greatly appreciate you coming in and sharing the information. If you know somebody that is a business owner, please feel free to share this, because they will need to know this as well, especially if they're thinking about expanding their business beyond the 4 walls of their home or wherever they are. If they're thinking about getting a brick and mortar, please share this information. If you need to contact me and ask me some questions or whatnot, I'm not licensed in all states. I'm in Georgia and in Missouri, working on Illinois and Florida right now as we speak. Excuse me. So I can just kind of give you an overall summary of what you should do. You should always, as I mentioned before, have an attorney in your back pocket. and a licensed realtor, whatever state you're in, so that they can make certain that they answer those questions. I'm also available on Instagram and on Twitter at Nichelle Womack. Feel free to DM me for a consultation for real estate, business advice, or consulting for business advice as well. Again, the link in my bio. I have a lot of freebies up there if you are a new business owner and you're thinking about going into business. I have some up there as well if you've been in business and you want to start growing your business. That's some information up there as well. So, all right, you guys, I thank you for coming in. I'm getting ready to go drink me some chicken noodle soup and relax. It's been a busy day. I thank God for this day, and I thank God for opportunity. I'm Nichelle with 2Excel with Nichelle.com. I'll speak to you. Tomorrow's Friday. I typically don't come on Fridays. I'm normally on Monday through Thursday between the hours of 3 and 9 p.m. I know that's a broad range of time. However, my schedule is kind of unpredictable. I'm also a doctoral candidate, so I'm working on a dissertation. And will I help you practice with English? I have a online program that I do work with people that are learning English. You can check the link in my bio, and you can connect with that up there. But not on the scope. I can't help you. So, but feel free to, Monday through Friday, as I was mentioning, I'm typically here between the hours of 3 and 9 p.m. And sometimes my times change because of my class. If I have to go meet to do consultations with clients, real estate work, I'm working in home health. Part of my business is home health too. I have a home health that I do, and sometimes clients, when they get sick, I got to be there, okay? So, and I'm not always, and due to HIPAA, I'm not able to share that stuff online because of HIPAA. So 7 entities of what I'm working in, different streams, keeping it going, keeping it flowing, and thanking God for a new day, new opportunity to be able to share my experiences. So thanks again. I gotta go, you guys. I feel amazing. I'm gonna keep saying I feel amazing, even though I'm looking, my eyes are like all crazy, and I'm just tired, lethargic. But it's a blessing to be connected with you. If you are not connected with me and you like information, inspiration, and motivation about business, life, and relationships, go ahead and touch that little fine dude down there so we can get connected. Alrighty, until I may get on tomorrow, I may get on Saturday, just depends on how I feel and how the rest of the week goes. But until next time, may everything that you touch, may it turn to gold. Blessings and peace unto you. Bye-bye.